Hi everyone, good morning.
Hi Bhaskar, hi Tim, good morning.
Very good morning. Yeah, so yesterday we have seen one use case, right? Is anyone facing an issue for completing that use case? Is everyone done?
Yes, Bhaskar.
Okay. So I think Naresh, you only right yesterday. You asked me to share the screen.
Yeah, that issue was resolved, Bhaskar.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
that SQL Server installation?
No, Bhaskar, actually it is a connectivity issue. So
Okay.
I actually what happened, so instead of one object, I connected different object. Now I got the solution.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So first use case everyone has done.
Yeah, yeah, Bhaskar. I am unable to see that the room link. So could you please share that? Yesterday I send the
Yeah,
message.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yesterday you told me, gave me a minute. That has to be done first. So did you check your email
Yes, I checked that.
cla-
Just
classroom access,
mm,
Google
no,
Classroom?
no, I did not receive. Just I received login details. You have enrolled and congratulations. These
Oh,
three messages I received. Yeah.
okay. Can you give me the email ID again?
I got
Right
it
away.
in the spam email.
Yeah. Can you check in a spam?
Just a minute. No, no, Bhaskar. Yes, Bhaskar received. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So can
And
you
then,
hit on the join
yeah,
classroom so that you can have all the details?
yeah, yeah. Join was. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Still, the few more people need to join. So everyone just check in a spam. It may be available in the spam. So say sir, Ramya, Anand not yet joined. So if you don't join it, I think you are not going to have access for that.
Okay, Bhaskar, let me check.
Bhaskar, one question.
Yeah.
Like in the interview panel, will they ask like any kind of question like what is the version of the Azure Data Studio and like Azure Data Factory Studio?
No, 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 no. There's no such kind of question.
Okay.
So we have only one version, version 2 only.
Oh,
Version 1 was deprecated. So there is no such kind of question. Okay.
thanks, Bhaskar.
Yeah, no worries. So in the last session, we have done one use case to move I mean to say to copy data from one place to another place. So in order to do that, we created a link service. Before that, we have checked the integration runtime. Is that required or not? Then we created a link service. Then data sets were created. And finally, we created a pipeline. So pipeline with only copy activity we have seen. With copy activity, we have come across it. So now I'm going to take you through more details of this copy activity. So the name itself saying that it is used to copy from one place to other place. It is used to copy from source to target. The source may be database, the source may be file system. In the same way, the target may be file system, the target may be database. So that may be anything, file system or database, and here also file system or database. So anything it is going to be happen. And most of the times when it comes to us, most of the times, very starting of the source systems, I mean to say very starting, we are going to have a database as a file system. And later we are going to have a file systems as a source. Okay, so when we come across the entire medallion architecture, then we can see where we can have a database and where we can have a file system. We'll come across that. So by using this copy activity, we can read the data from the file system. So file system means you will be having a files, CSV files, JSON files, Parquet files. So many files will be available. And we can also read data from database. Like we can read from Oracle database, we can read from SAP database, we can read from Netezza. So we can read from any database. Okay, so these things are going to be happen by using the copy activity. 100% is we are going to use your copy activity for data ingestion. For data ingestion, we are going to use copy activity only. So to control this copy activity, to control the data ingestion, we are going to use other activities. So those activities, we can call them as a control activities. In SSIS, there is a control flow. Okay, in control flow, you have a execute SQL task, containers, and there are many things, if I'm correct. Okay, I forgot many naming standards. Okay, so there are various activities out there. Script activity, send mail task, script task, send mail task. Okay, so like that we have a activities to control it. So those activities we can call them as a generally control activities, but they are not they are not categorized, but still we can call them to control. Still we can call them as a control activities as your data ingestion is getting controlled. Okay, so your copy activity, whenever you're going to use the copy activity, it uses source data set and sync data set. Two data sets are required. One is source data set, another is sync data set. Without these two data sets, you cannot use copy activity. So 100% is required. It's a mandatory. Okay, so now we came across that saying that we can read the data from the file system and we can read the data from the database. So what happens when you read the data from the file system? What options you are going to get it? So that is going to here. When you read the data from the file system, copy activity provides the following options. One is file path in the dataset, wildcard file path, and list of the files. These three options will be there when you read the data from the file system. In the same way, when you read the data from the database, you are going to have a three options for database also. That is table, query, and stored procedure. These three options are going to be available. So whenever you are going to connect with the database by using any activity, you're going to have these three options, mostly these three options. So one of that activity can connect to the database is copy activity. So you can read the data from the table, you can read the data from the query, and you can read the data from the by using stored procedure. So when we can go for table and when we can go for query and stored procedure, what will be the best approach that we are going to see? Okay, just give me 1 minute, please. Now let's take this use case so that you can understand the various options that we are going to come across it. Whatever I'm going to take you through, if we can do that practice, that is more and more enough. You can give the answer for any kind of question. Now try to understand the requirement here. In the last session, we have seen how we can read it from single file. We have seen how we can read the data from the customer.csv to from the source to target. Only single file we have seen. Now I wanted to go for multiple files. Create a pipeline to copy the data from multiple files of input directory to output directory. You can see here, my source is having multiple files. File 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total 5 files are available with a different extension. I have a .csv, I have a .json, I have a .txt. So varieties of the files formats I'm having in my source. So I wanted to bring, so this system, these files are there in the source system. These files are there in the source system. So when you have a files in the source system, how we can bring it into from one place to another place? So just imagine this is a source, whatever it is. That may be ADLS, that may be blob, or that may be other file system. So if you have such kind of things, then how you can read it, that we are going to see with multiple files. Because if you have 100 files, if you have 100 files, we are not going to create 100 copy activities or 100 pipelines. One pipeline has to bring all the data. One pipeline has to bring it. So that too, it is just for ingestion only. When we are going for ingestion, I don't care about the data of the file. We don't need to look into that. Here also, we don't need to look into that. So that is how it is going to be done. If you go for SSIS, you have to see, you have to look into the data. Without looking into the data, then you cannot copy from one place to other place. Without a data flow, you cannot move the data. But when it comes to here, we can move without looking into the data. So that is the beauty of your data factory. So because of that reason, even if we have a different columns, different kind of extension, still we can use the same pipeline to copy the files from one place to another place. Now your source system is your Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So we are going to use Azure Integration Runtime for the source. And my target is also Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So there also I can use Azure Integration Runtime. So same integration runtime, so I can use the existed integration runtime. My storage account is same. Yesterday we created a link service for this. So I'm going to use the same link service. So do not think my account name is different when you compare with this. So just think that whatever we created yesterday, that is the account. I guess I have created Bhaskar ADLS May. So that is the account name that I created yesterday. The same account I'm going to use for your source and target. Now let's go to the data factory. One minute. Yesterday I explained for one of them. Let's go to the portal. A resource group. We created a May resource group. Let's launch your Data Factory Studio. And I'm also opening my storage account. Let's go to the containers. Data files. Let's take out this output directory. I don't need it. Now I'm going to set up my input. Okay, so whatever the files are there here, the same files I'm just going to upload. Let's upload it. So whenever you're going to do any exercise, you have to make sure set up the input. do not set up the output. That has to be done by your data factory. Only input only we are going to set. So custom employee.csv and customer.csv. Customer.csv is there. Employee.csv. And then department.json. And then employee1.txt, 2.txt. Let's open, upload it. Now my input is ready. Let me open one more tab for output validation. So I don't have any output here. In the first tab, I'm just pointing to the input. And second tab, I wanted to point to output, but output is not available. In the third tab, I'm using Azure Data Factory. So let's go to manage. So integration runtime, we already having it. We don't need to set up because we require Azure integration runtime. It is already available. The next is link service. The link service also we created yesterday. So we don't need to create it again. Link service is not required to create again. And let's go to author. So we have to create a 2 data sets. We need to create a 2 data sets. So now I'm going to create a data set to copy multiple files. So these multiple files are available in the input directory. These files are available in the input directory. So when you have a data in the directory, when you create a data set, the data set should point to your input directory. Yesterday we created a data set by pointing to the file, but today I'm going to create a data set to point to the directory. To point to the directory, I'm going to create it. So let's see how exactly I'm going to create it. And when you create a directory, you can point to the input directory. That is fine. Let's create a data set. So again, I'm just repeating. Let's go here. I have only 2 data sets yesterday we created. Now I'm going to create a new data set. So once you create a data factory, do not delete the data factory. It is not going to be chargeable until unless you run the pipeline, until unless you run your data factory. So because of that reason, I just kept it. Let's go and create a new data set. My new data set is pointing to the Azure storage platform. My Azure storage is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 and hit on continue. I'm going to take the same delimited, hit on continue. So here I'm going to take ds underscore data files underscore input. Let's take a link service. Whatever we created yesterday, the same link service I'm taking. Only I'm creating a data set. You can browse up to input directory. You can browse up to input directory. Do not select the file. You don't need to select it. I don't need a first as a header. Whenever you are going to have a multiple extensions, do not select the first as a header. If you have a TXT file, if you have a CSV files, if your files are having a header, then you can choose it. But along with these files, I'm having a JSON file also. JSON file is not going to have the header. So because of that reason, you have to uncheck it. Otherwise, your CSV connector or CSV file format is not going to help you to work. You have to do it in a different way. What is an alternative way to handle this? We'll see that later. And
Oscar,
yeah, any
yes, sir.
question?
So now we have selected the delimited files, right? So
Yes,
instead of that, we can select JSON also.
JSON also it works.
Okay. If
It
we
works.
have multiple files, but if you have a database, then that should be separate.
Can you repeat it? Yeah, if it is a database, then we have to go for different.
Yeah, we need to split the data set.
Yes, you need to have it two data sets.
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm just taking same import schema is none. These three options, you need to select it and hit OK. Now your source data set is ready. And target data set also is required. So I'm going to create a target data set. Last day, what I did is, whatever the steps I have done for this, the same steps I have taken for this one also. Same steps I have taken to create a data set. I don't need to take, if the same to same steps, then we can go for clone. We can go for clone. So I wanted to clone this data set. Let me show you how we can do it so that we can save the time. Let's hit on these three dots. You can find there is a clone. So clone means it's another copy, a duplicating of it. Let's hit on clone. I'm just going to make this as a output. ds underscore data files underscore output. Not only the changing of the name, you can also change this file path, this to output, because you have to keep the files in the output. And I'm not sure about the file name, so you are not supposed to pass the file name, because all the files are going to copy and paste it here in the output directory. Okay, so let's go for your data. Sorry, let's go and create a pipeline. Now two data sets are available. One is input data set, another is output data set. Let's create a pipeline. Yesterday we created this pipeline. Let me create a new pipeline. PL underscore copy multiple files. You can minimize this so that you can have a space. Just drag and drop your copy data activity. Your copy data activity is having, and I'm just going to say CP multiple files. You can give any naming. It's all depends on you. Let's go for source. In the source, it is asking source data set. The source data set, I'm going to take input data set. Data files underscore input. When I choose this one, you can see here what options are available. Whatever I discussed very starting of this copy activity, that options are available here. So source data set and file path type. This file path types, there are three options are available. One is file path in the data set, wildcard file path, and list of files. So when you are going to get these three options is when you read the data from the file system. When you read the data from file system, you're going to have these three options. So this one we already seen in the last session. By default, you're going to have a file path in the data set. The file path will be there, right? The path of the file is going to be there in the data set. Because of that reason, they named it as a file path in the data set. And for this particular use case, we have to use the second option, that is wildcard file path, because we are not sure what is the name of the file, and we are not sure what is the extension of the file. I need all the files. That is what my requirement. So wildcard file path, you can just say star. You can just say star. Star indicates everything. So star indicates everything. Even if you wanted to search it, we used to go for star in Windows operating system. Okay, so list of files we'll see. Now we'll go with the wildcard file path. When I choose this wildcard file path, you can see it is pointing to the data files. Inside the data files, I have an input directory. Inside input directory, I'm keeping star. The star indicates everything. The star indicates everything. Only these two changes only. We are just going to check the checkbox and we are going to provide the appropriate directories. And let's go to the sync. Sync data set is your data files underscore output. We don't need to set anything here. Just leave everything. I'm just going to have some changes in the source side. Now, if you run this pipeline, I wanted to test, is that going to bring all the files or not? Let's hit on debug. Now it got succeeded. Now, if you go and see your output, you can see the output folder. Inside output folder, all the files are available. Just cross-verify your JSON file. Is that JSON file or not? You can see here. So JSON data only. Okay, and this is the CSV data. So header also is there for your file. You don't need to specify file is having a header because you're just dumping it. The text file is having the header. Okay, so this is how we can read the data from the multiple files. And if I wanted to take only CSV files, so very small change that you can do it here. In the source side only, you are going to do it. In this place, I'm going to say star.csv. The star.csv indicates everything which is having extension is .csv. Now, if you run the same pipeline, now it got succeeded. Let's refresh it. Output folder. Now you can see only CSV files. Okay, so if you want to check the files which are starting with EMP, then EMP star. You can take like this. Starting with EMP and everything is going to get it here. So you can try for that. So like that, we can use this wildcard file path. So that is what I'm saying. When you read the data from multiple files as it is, without doing any changes, then we can go for wildcard file path. So when you use the wildcard file path, make sure to create a data set by pointing to the root directory or any specific directory, you can point it. So that is the point here. We don't need to point to the file name because file name is not fixed. Only folder is fixed. Any question with this use case?
Yeah, Bhaskar, so when you told, like, I remember your example, like you have created 25 databases in a single platform, like single LinkedIn service. So in that case, so we need to create a 25 datasets, means?
No. I'll talk about it. Basically, you have to reduce as less as possible.
Okay.
Okay, so data sets is not based on the platform. Data set is based on your data that is required for you. So when we see with the database, then you can understand. So till then, wait for some time, you will get to know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, at least for the file system, like if you have a multiple
File system also the same thing. We don't create too many data sets.
Yeah.
One format, one data set.
Okay.
Okay.
But here also we are using only one because we can give the wildcard.
Wildcard is not recommended all the time. So here my intention is I wanted to talk about the copy activity. If they ask, if it is a just normal movement, then you can go for this. So in my case, I did not come across anywhere to this.
Okay, if you want to read the like metadata and all, we need to go for a dedicated one.
Yeah, basically we are going to do it in that way only. That should be in our control.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Because in the interview they're going to ask. Okay, so some people they are aware of this wildcard file path only. If we give the answer with other option, they may not be satisfied. So if it can give the answer along with this,
Hmm.
so then they will understand, okay, he knows in all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone is asking.
Bhaskar, so in the same way, so we can also move the data like .jpg that file also we can move, right? By
JPG,
using
.jpg or
yeah,
.json.
anything which are related to image files. Let's say I have the like one JPG format.
Yeah, that we can move. We can
Okay,
move.
okay, but there is no restriction, right?
There is no restriction. There is
Okay,
no restriction, but we don't come across such kind of things.
Yeah,
okay.
Bhaskar, that wildcard file path only for copy and paste that things, right?
Yes, yes,
Is there no any middleware directly dump into
yes,
target base, right?
yes.
Okay.
And Bhaskar, so we can create this like in case of any errors, right? So in the file wise, are we able to see our
No,
the
no errors, right? It is just cut and paste.
yeah, means not in this scenario maybe. So like when we have some set of files, we
Mhm.
need to monitor like after that job whether it is successful or
We
like
have we are going to talk about it.
oh,
We'll see that.
okay.
So like
Yeah,
one more question.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Bhaskar. So, here, we are copying multiple, different format files. So you selected only .csv. So we have .json file as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, in case why it won't allow us to select multiple file formats, or
No, no, you can
why we
select
have
it. We are seen, right? If you keep the star, it takes everything.
no, like while creating
Okay.
here,
So while creating, we have taken
data set,
CSV.
data set.
You can use either binary or CSV while creating a data set, but I did not try with other options. Okay, so you just try creating a data set with JSON and try for moving all these files. Will it allow or not? You just check it. I did not check it. I did not come across that. I mean, I did not check that one. I checked only with the CSV. So I used to go with the CSV.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so there are multiple file formats are there. You can try with other options. Will it allow or not? Simple. Just try for creating a data set with JSON format and try to move all these files. Will it move or not? To just check.
Yeah, Bas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bhaskar, one question. So while we are moving these files, let's say if any one of the file is open, so in that case, are we going to see any error message?
No,
No, right?
no, we don't see.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the next use case.
Yeah, Bhaskar, last question.
Yeah.
So suppose we have transferred that the multiple files around something that 100 to 200, where we can see that the logs, whether it is completed or not.
No, no, we are not
Mm,
going to have a logs here.
okay, okay.
Okay, so if you wanted to handle all those things, then you have to go for different approach,
Mm,
not a wildcard file path.
okay.
So Bhaskar, can we get this different file for our requisition?
This one is there right in the classroom.
This set of files.
Okay, so that is also there in the data set. I have said in the classroom itself. Sample files, right? You're saying customer.csv.
Yeah, sample
Yeah, it
files.
was there.
Where
Just
can I
check,
find? Yeah.
just check in a classroom. I gave the links also in the classroom. If I'm
Okay.
correct, I have given. If not, I'll check and I'll keep that link. You can download it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
already means in the group only you have shared, right?
No, in the classroom only I have said. I mean, let me check right away.
I think it not shared, Bhaskar.
Correct. Just give me a moment. Right away, we'll share it.
Yeah.
I said it in a classroom.
Where can I see those files, Bhaskar, in the classroom? Is there any area?
No, you can just log into the classroom, Google Classroom.
Yes, Bhaskar. Yeah, I just logged into the Google Classroom.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah. Yes, Bhaskar. Right.
Yeah,
Not able to see.
yeah, Bhaskar. It's
Yeah.
at the top.
You got it right. Sample first link. Just hit
Yeah.
on it.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
So
You can
these are the
download. Some databases are there and files are there in the. You can find there is a dataset -hyphen practice.
okay,
So
Bhaskar.
that
Yeah.
is having all the files.
Yeah. Okay, Bhaskar. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about the next use case. That is, if I wanted to read the data from the list of files, I need to read only specific files. So for some reason, there is a chances to ask in the interview. I face this kind of question from multiple students. I have some files in the source. I don't want to read all the files. I wanted to read only specific files. So if you wanted to read the specific files, then how you're going to read it? So two different approaches are there. One I'm going to show you. Later we'll see the second approach. Okay, so if I wanted to read the data from the specific files by using the copy activity, in copy we have one more option, that is a third option, specific files. So you can specify whatever the files you wanted to read from the source, and that from that particular files, the list of specific files, you need to keep it in a separate file, and that file we are going to give it to copy activity. The list of specific files file will be given to the copy data activity, so that it is going to copy only the specific files. Whatever the files you listed in the file, so that files only is going to read. So in this place, you can see my output, I'm expecting customer.csv and department.csv. So I'm not going to use the wildcard if we wanted to read the data from the specific files. We are going to use the specific file option in the copy activity. So let me show you that. My input is already ready. I can use the existed pipeline, but let me create a separate data set. Let's create a new data set, new pipeline. PL underscore copy specific files. Let's take a copy data activity. Inside the source, it's a source data set, you have to take input data set. We have to choose the list of the files here. So list of files, you can take a file which is having a list of files. So I'm having one file, let me upload that. There's a list of files. I just kept only the two file names inside that, just upload. If you see this file, what data is there? The file names are available. Customer.csv, department.json. These two files only are available. And hit on close. Now this file I need to browse from here. When the moment you choose, it is asking path to file list. The path of the file list we need to specify. Let's browse it. Let's go to data files, input, and list of files. Hit OK. That's all. And go and take the sync data set, whatever we already created it. Okay, so data sets I'm not creating. I'm reusing the existing data sets. Now, let me take out my output directory from here. No output directory. Let's run this pipeline. Let's go and see your target. Output directory. Only 2 files are there. If I keep only one file, then it reads only one file. Let me show you that also. Let's take out this directory. I'm just going to keep only one file. Let's keep only CSV file. Save this, close it, and run your pipeline. It takes only one file. Now if you go and see your target, output directory, only one file. So whatever the files that you wanted to read, you can specify it and you can read it. Okay, so this is about your copy activity. So copy is going to travel till your data ingestion is completed. Whenever you are going to move the data, your copy activity is going to be there. Okay, so but options are whatever we have seen that is done. And when we read the data from the database, again, there are 3 options that we're going to see. But now I'm going to take you through one more use case here. This use case is going to introduce a new activity. So new activity is going to be introduced. This is very, very important. So many places I'm going to use that particular activity, that is set variable activity. Set variable activity. So this is going to set the value to the variable. So we are going to see how we can create a variable, and we're also going to see how we can create a parameter. So 2 options are there, parameter and variable. When you go for parameter, you can create this parameter in a different places. One is at link services, we can create a parameters. We'll see that how we can do it at the link service at the time of project. And the second is you can create a parameters at dataset. And you can also create a parameters at the pipeline. In these 3 places, we can create a parameter. But when it comes to the variable can be created only at one place, that is pipeline. This is one of the difference between your parameter and variable. You can change the value of the variable in the pipeline execution, but parameter value is not going to be changed. Whatever the value you are giving it to parameter, that will be fixed. So that is not going to be changed. So over the execution of your pipeline, you can use the set variable activity to set the value to the variable. You're not going to set a value for the parameter in the pipeline. You can pass the value to the parameter. Pass is different, set is different. Okay, so that is the 2 differences we can see. Okay, it is going to change the value. So it is a dynamic value is going to get, but here it is going to be fixed. Whatever you're going to give, it will take it. So parameters you can create in all these ways. And the data types is also one of the difference. I'll show you what data types we can use for parameter and what data types we can use it for variable. We can say that.
What is the use of this?
To make it a dynamic. We want to create a dynamic pipelines, or I can say metadata driven pipelines. If you wanted to do it, then we need to use this parameters and variables. I told you we can use as less data sets. How that is going to be possible? With the parameterized. We can parameterize your data set. If you want to create one link service for all the database, then you have to parameterize this link service. If I have a 20 databases, I don't need to create a 20 connectors. You can create only one connector. Same platform, all are Oracle, you just imagine. Then one link service, you can have it. You can parameterize all the connection details. You got my point, right?
Yes, sir. Thanks very much.
Yeah, and the same way data set also. I have 1,000 tables in one database. I don't need to create 1,000 data sets. One data set is enough. I can parameterize. Or I can have it, there is an option called query. Basically, we are going to use the query. So we'll see all those things. But my intention is here is, if you create a parameter, what are the different places we are having to create a parameter?
Yeah.
If you create a parameter at the link service, then you have to pass the values from the data set. You have to pass the values from the data set. If you create a parameter at the pipeline, if you create a parameter at the data set level, then you have to pass the values from the pipeline. If you create a parameters at the pipeline, you have to pass from the trigger. From trigger to pipeline, it will go. We'll see this hierarchy also. This is also important. So then only don't get confusion. To pass the values to link service, we are going to, say parameter values. When you create a parameters at link service, to pass the values to this link service, we are going to pass from the data set. And if we create a parameters at the data set level, and if you want to pass the values to that particular data set, you have to pass from the pipeline. And if you create a parameter at the pipeline, if you want to pass the value to that, then you have to pass it from the trigger. Yeah, any question?
So this parameter, if you mention some value, so during the pipeline means it is overriding the parameter value by using the variable, right?
We can do that.
Okay,
No,
that is
basically we don't set the value for the parameter. Okay, so not recommended to set. Even default values also. There is a possibility to set the default values. So we don't keep the default values also, especially for connections, because they are very sensitive. You have to get it from outside.
But in general, so let's
Yes,
say if
we
we
can.
put, we can, right? So during the pipeline only, we can change the variable value.
Yes,
Okay.
that value we can pass it to parameter.
Okay.
Okay, so when we see practically, then you can understand this hierarchy, how exactly the values are passing. Otherwise, you will be having little confusion. Okay, so to set a value, or if you wanted to take anything dynamically, and if you want to test is value coming as expected. If you go for SQL, you can print the statement, then and there you can see the output and you can decide what you have done wrong. And if you go for Python, you can run the code there itself and you can see the output of that and you can change that. But when it comes to the data factory, we don't have that feasibility. You have to run the entire pipeline and see the output. Even that also, if you wanted to say, I always recommend to use set variable activity when you are going to set some expressions. I've written some expressions, and if you wanted to test it, is that expression is working or not, then I recommend you to use set variable activity. So when you see this use case, then you can understand the importance of the set variable activity. Okay. Now this use case is talking, create a pipeline to read the data from the source if the file is current day file. So simple, I wanted to read current day file. From the current day file, I wanted to read it. Then how you are going to read it? So let me set up the files. So here my intention is how we can write the expression. That is the main target, not how we can read the data from the current day file. So in interview point of view, this will be helpful surely. But in real time, we don't go for this kind of approach. Okay, so let's go to the data factory. Before that, let me set up my data source. I'm just taking out all these files from here. I'm just keeping some files. I'm just changing the date and keeping that 05 08 2025. That is today's file, and this one is yesterday file. This is tomorrow's file. Just imagine. I'm just keeping all these three files.
So it is in month, like
MMDDYY format I'm taking.
Okay.
These three files I'm just keeping. Now out of all these three files, I wanted to read only one file. My target is not having anything. Let me take out it. Okay, so if file name is fixed, you can directly create a data set to pointing to that particular file. But unfortunately, my file name is not fixed. In this particular use case, my file name is not fixed. If I run pipeline today, this file is going to be copied. If I run the same data pipeline tomorrow, and this pipeline will be read. So that means file name is not static. File name is getting changed. So this latest file name, whatever the file name you're having, that file name you have to give it to copy activity. You're using a copy data activity, and this is always going to expect your source data set and target data set. I don't have a problem with the target data set. I have a problem with the source data set. Okay, so source data set is expecting a file name, because file name is continuously changing and every day. Okay, so today is this file name, and tomorrow this file name, and day after tomorrow some other file name, because this file name is concatenated with the date format. So if the file name is getting changed, then your input data set also should be dynamic. This should be dynamic. Then only can provide the solution. So if it is a static, then it reads only a single file. If it is a dynamic, then you can read the data from latest file, whatever the file that is going to be provided. Now, who will give the file name? So someone has to give this file name. So someone has to give the file name to this data set. I'm going to create a data set here. Someone has to give this file name. Someone has to give the file name to the data set. That someone is set variable. Set variable is going to set the value and give it to the data set. But to give it to the data set, until unless there is a parameter to the data set, your variable cannot give the value to here. Your variable can set the value to the variable, and to take the value from the variable, your data set should have a parameter. Data set is not going to have a variable, because variable can be created only at the pipeline level. You cannot create a variable at data set level. So data set is always going to have a parameter. So we need to know how we can create a parameter at the data set, and we need to know how we can create a variable at the pipeline and setting a value to the variable that we require to know it. Okay. So shall we continue this on tomorrow? It will take time.
Yeah, Bhaskar.
Yeah, sure, Bhaskar.
Okay. So this exercise, tomorrow exercise is very, very important. How we can write an expression. Even in SSIS, we have a expression builder. There itself, we can see the output. But here it is not like that. You have to write the entire pipeline. So there is a slight difference is going to be there when you validate your expression. Okay, so tomorrow's session is very, very important. Not only tomorrow's session, all the sessions are going to be very important. Okay, so any question, guys?
So, Bhaskar, we need to do this every exercise which you are highlighting.
Yes, yes. You have to do
But
everything. Whatever I've done, you have to do by yourself.
okay.
Okay, if you can do without seeing recording, that is fine. Wherever you stuck, you just revisit your recording and make it clear to continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll see you on tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.